Welcome to Laid Back Law with your favorite lawyers from around the interwebs, discussing the most pressing of topics every Friday at noon Eastern Time.
And here we are, another week, jumping in with Nate the lawyer, Viva Frei, Phil Holloway. And let me kill this so I don't hear myself. So, all right, we have to start this episode. This is a very important, significant case that has been around for many years. And I'm going to prompt Nate. Please take it away.
Oh. This is my country. I forgot about that.
All right.
The Nigerian way. I got to say it the Nigerian way.
Absolutely. And it's got to be Nate. You can't be talking about the Jussie without having the Nate on board. So let's jump into it. Our favorite hoaxer has slipped through the net.
Yes. Well, so for those of you who don't know, it's going to take a little bit of explaining. So I hope people can just bear with me for a second, because the case, everybody knows Jussie got off from the Supreme Court, but to let everyone know what happened, the state's attorney, her name is Kim Foxx. She is a Democratic operative. Obama is everything, the whole nine. She is like in with the crew. So when Jussie first got arrested, she was actually texting with Jussie Smollett's family, telling him, hey, tell him to stay quiet, stay consistent, and he'll be all right. We'll take care of him. So that got out. It was all on Fox News. I actually have the clip in my video. It actually got out that she was in connection with the Jussie family. So she recused herself. She said, okay, I'm not going to handle this case. I'm just going to recuse myself. Now, in that situation, she doesn't have the authority by recusing herself. She doesn't have the authority to make any deals or to prosecute the case. She's gone. So in that instance, state law says, well, then you need a special prosecutor to come and prosecute the case. But Kim Foxx didn't do that. So she recused herself, saying, I don't have authority to prosecute this case. And then she said, well, what I'm going to do is come to a sweetheart deal with Jussie Smollett, even though I know I don't have the authority to prosecute him. Now, how do we know she knew that? Well, because the memos from her office, emails were leaked from her office where her top litigator in her appeals division wrote a long email saying, hey, since you've recused yourself, we cannot prosecute Jussie Smollett. You can't appoint somebody to prosecute him. That's it. It's done. Kim Foxx said, well, you know what? I don't care about that. I don't care about the law. I don't care about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a fake position in the government. So this is totally fake. She created a fake position. She appointed her number two to that position, and then they made a deal with Jussie Smollett. So that deal was he'll pay $10,000, do like 16 hours of community service in it. So she knows, so she's totally violated the law. Jussie Smollett attorneys go, they come to this agreement, the judge signs off on it, and then that happens. So then later on, the court was like, oh, hold on. You, state prosecutor, didn't have any authority to make any deals. You recused yourself. What the hell are you doing? So they said, well, that deal that you made with Jussie Smollett is null and void, because you can't just make a deal if you don't have authority to make the deal. So then they did the retrial. They retried him. He was convicted, and then it went up to the state Supreme Court. Now, the state Supreme Court said, well, everything you said about Kim Foxx is correct, right? She did all this, and she didn't have authority to come to this deal, but we're going to uphold this deal anyway. And the reason why is because they made essentially two reasons. Number one, they said, we're not looking at it as Jussie Smollett. We're looking at it as any defendant. When you go to the court and the judge is there and a prosecutor's there and your lawyer's there and your lawyer says, hey, that's the prosecutor. The judge says that's the prosecutor. The prosecutor says that's the prosecutor. And you come to an agreement, then it's not the defendant's fault if the prosecutor's all messed up. It's not the defendant's fault the judge didn't know. It's the state's fault. And you can't penalize the defendant for the state screwing this up. Second, they also said, if Jussie Smollett didn't do the community service and didn't pay the $10,000 fine, then you can have an argument that you could try him. But since he already did that stuff, that's what's known as detrimental reliance. Mm-hmm. he's actually done what you told him to do. And since he's done what you told him to do, that's it. The state now can't go back and renege on that deal because you can't give him that 16 hours back, right? You essentially reneged on the deal. So essentially, Kim Foxx, she set it up where she had no authority to prosecute him, prosecuted him anyway, and now the state is stuck with that, again, fake, and I will even say this, illegal prosecution of Jussie Smollett. So that's essentially what happened in this case.
What about Kim Foxx? Can something happen to her?
Well, she was, after all this even came to light, she was reelected.
Of course.
And now she's doing her last. So she's now she's about to leave out of office because her term is up. But there should be obviously there should be some ethics violations that are clearly going to, because again, you can't be able to prosecute people without authority, and it's not. And she knew she didn't have authority to do this. So there should be. But again, it's Cook County, it's Illinois. And, obviously they're not going to do anything to Kim Foxx. She's now going on, the show saying, oh, yeah, I knew this was double jeopardy all along. But she's not saying that the courts all said that what she did was essentially corrupt to get Jussie off. But now the court can't do anything because they're like, you know what? If the state messes up, I'm not penalizing the defendant. You got to penalize the state. And the penalty for the state is that the second conviction is overturned.
Could it be seen that she did this deliberately to, throw a grenade into the process so that way he has an out later?
Oh, yeah, I think she did do this 110% deliberately. She lied about why she did it. She was lying about the law. And the fact that we now know that she knew what she was doing was illegal. She did it anyway. She set this up so he can get a sweetheart deal. And then the judge, because again, with the judges, when you read the opinion, like the third to the last paragraph, it literally says there, when the state messes up, it's not the defendant that suffers, it's the state. So, and it's the state's job to essentially hold Kim Foxx accountable. But the Democrats in Cook County or the Democrats in Illinois don't want to hold her accountable. So you're stuck with what you got.
Somebody in the chat brought up a good question. What about federal charges?
That's possible from what I understood.
It would be possible, but who's in office?
What's the statute of limitations? It's disorderly conduct. What's the statute of limitations on that?
Well, we're talking about. Well, you would need some federal charges too. What federal charges would you bring against Jussie?
Hate crime.
5-year statute of limitations.
Hate crime is, you got hate crime.
I just love that they cited the great precedent of Bill Cosby, of other such convicted or guilty individuals set free because of a mistake or a breached agreement. The Bill Cosby precedent.
Yes,
that came to my mind as soon as I heard it as the Bill Cosby. I thought,
oh no, they cited it at the end.
They cited the last paragraph. They cited Bill Cosby because they were saying they're citing it to say, hey, this guy's a horrible piece of crap like Bill Cosby, but we are not going to make any criminal defendant suffer or pay or even suffer twice for the state effing all this up. This is the state, and to be fair, I agree with the ruling because it's true.
Yeah.
If the state messes up and the state does all this funny stuff, and you're the defendant sitting there, and they say it's the prosecutor's not, and you made the deal and you did the time, then okay, the state has to suffer with that. But the person who should be prosecuted and who should have some negative consequences is Kim Foxx, because she's the one who did all this. So I really think about it. Texting with the family of someone who's just been arrested, like just stay quiet and you're going to be okay. That's how unethical is that? But again, it's Illinois.
I think I know what'll happen with Kim Foxx. She'll probably be the next Illinois Attorney General.
Forget that. She'll be the 2028 candidate. They'll run her for president. She's at least more charismatic than what's her face, Kamala Harris. That's a bada bing bada boom joke. It's wild corruption. But at the end of the day, it's an interesting thing they got around the double jeopardy by going with detrimental reliance, which, as far as I remember, it hadn't really been argued until I don't even remember it being argued ever. It was always he was going to get off on double jeopardy, but the idea being that double jeopardy never attached.
Yeah, well, plea deals are always in the nature of a contract, right? And so the idea, and having been a prosecutor, I mean, I get it. A card laid's a card played, and regardless of what you think of Fox and that deal, it was made. And like Nate said, I conceptually agree with the court's ruling on that basis. It makes perfectly good sense to me, because you can't. as a practical matter, you can't have prosecutors making deals and then other prosecutors coming along behind them and saying, no, we don't like the deal that the first prosecutor made, so we're just going to undo it all. So you just, that's just, and unfortunately, a guy like Jussie is the one that benefits from all of this. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, Supreme Courts and appellate courts, when they rule, they're not really, supposedly anyway, ruling, in a way that's designed to reach a specific outcome for a specific defendant. They're supposed to be basically making precedent and policy for all the courts beneath them to follow as guidance moving forward. And look, there's plenty of criminal defendants in Illinois, and so lots of courts need to have this guidance to follow. So, it couldn't have happened to a worse guy.
Well, it's always going to be somebody bad. But that leads me to another question that I've been wondering about. The Menendez brothers. Because they did the change of the law in California, something about the age of trying people and stuff that allowed them to relook at the case. Now, you had George Gascon, right? George Gascon recommended a resentencing so they could, fulfill or whatever, get off. But he just got voted out of office.
Got trounced out of office, yeah.
So my question is that Ken Hochman, who was replacing him, come in and say, nope, we rescind that.
Yep.
We want him to stay in.
Yeah, he can. He can. But the problem, I think, in LA is that George Garcon, he did that because he thought that would help him get the votes, the progressive votes. They were going to get them out of jail, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't work out. Actually, it worked out worse for him because they were like, this shows you've been trying to let these murderers out of jail.
And the new DA takes office on, I think, December the 2nd. It's weird because normally you'd think it would be January 1st, but now it's like early December. So I think that the effort to free the Menendez killers is about dead in the water.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to know that because it
ginned up some news at the same time that the Netflix documentary was released. So whether or not that's a coincidence, I doubt it. I haven't actually watched
theories.
It's when two random things happen at the exact same time. But I haven't watched it. I need to jog my memory about that case as to where the injustice was. I remember that they killed their parents. Their defense was that they were abused. I thought that there was evidence.
They weren't allowed to present.
I can take this one. I'm not espousing this. I'm just going to describe to you what people say the injustice is, and I kind of can see some of it. There was one trial that resulted in a mistrial, and at that trial, the judge allowed the defense to use evidence of the alleged abuse, and of course, it did not result in a conviction or an acquittal. It was a hung jury. They couldn't make up their mind. Fast forward to the second trial. I think it was a different judge who said, yeah, we're not going to allow that in this time. And then, of course, you had basically a slam dunk instant conviction because these guys went outside and reloaded and everything. It was really, really brutal. So the real thing is, look, if the argument is that if the judge in the second trial had allowed the same evidence that happened in the first trial, they could have perhaps been acquitted or convicted on some lesser degree of criminal homicide, some kind of manslaughter or something along those lines where they were, provoked. And this was it's not the same thing, but it's similar to like the battered spouse syndrome, right? Where you put up with the crap for so many years until you just, you snap, right? And so it's possible that a jury could have acquitted them. It's possible that a jury could have found them guilty on some lesser charge. And so that's the real controversy of why it was unfair. And I think if that trial were to happen today, certainly in California, the evidence would come in, but I think in most states it would be allowed to come in. You kind of, the judge really did, and I'm no fan or supporters of killing parents or anything like that, but the judge really did. He kneecapped the defense, right? So I think you got to let defendants put up their any reasonable defense. I think it needs to come in, but that's the controversy.
I guess I'm okay with it because they've served 35 years, and I'm kind of like, no matter what happens, they have done hard time. It's not like they're going to be getting off or anything like that, especially if they were abused. And it does almost seem fair. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think, look, I see your point, Eric, and I don't know what I don't pretend to know what's fair and what's not, but I know that people have served less time than that for criminal homicide. So, I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of.
Yeah, but I gotta say, it's true. People have to, but a double shotgun, you shotgun them down, then you go reload and shoot, make sure that they're dead, and you kill both parents. And, you know, it's 35 years. I would say if they would be tough, but I think if you're talking about whether because their defense is literally we did it, but we did.
Well, the defense also is they needed killing, or he at least the dad did, and the mom
And from what I understood is that, you know, that those type of revenge killings may get you second degree murder, but it doesn't absolve you. You know, you may get, you know, it doesn't absolve you of the case, right? They shotgunned him down and said, oh yeah. Right. And let's not forget too, one thing that the prosecutor said, the original prosecutor in the case, she said, you can make that argument about the father, but what about the mother? Because don't forget, they went and, you know, so it's like,
well, she was silent. She remained.
Apparently she was okay with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, she turned
a blind eye, they say, and you know, look, I mean, some juries would look. Their jury nullification is real, folks. It happens all the time, and I can see, you know, at least there might be some jury out there that would say, look, yeah, we think that they're guilty and it fits under the law, but these folks just really needed killing, so we're going to give them a pass. That could have happened.
It could be, and I think they were tied in with a Menudo band as well. Mark did bring up a good point, my partner on AUS, and he said that Gascon may have been doing that recommendation as well because he's Cuban, and they're Cuban. It's from the Cuban community.
And that's the reason why
there's no reason to bring JFK into this.
That's the reason why it's worse. It's like, and one thing I will say even about this whole election season, I'm just so happy to see people finally open their eyes up to this identity politics BS, right? It's like I'm gonna, you know, why not do that for everybody? If they have to be Cuban, I think we finally gotten to the point where just because it's not about what you are, it's about who you are. And I think that's the thing that this election, if people just left out of that with that, then I think we were a better country.
Yeah, that would be great if everybody believed that. I'm sure that Fonnie Willis, who we'll talk a little bit about Georgia.
Oh yeah, oh my God,
absolutely a forerunner in not worrying about diversity and only worrying specifically on people's abilities. She's very thoughtful, sober, district attorney who likes cash a lot. Really,
I'll use cash.
Surely you're not saying that there are political systems masquerading as legal systems. I'm sure you're not saying that, are you?
Oh no, of course
that would never happen. No.
There's nothing breaking in New York right now. There's no possible judgment just disappearing as we speak. Who wants to take that? David,
I'll take that.
Which are you doing, Georgia or New York? Because there's news in
New York, and I was on the phone doing an interview for Fox News Digital for something they're writing, and we were talking about the Georgia case and the New York case. And then like literally we were on the phone and I'm like, hang on a minute, there's breaking news on this right now. And so we had to kind of change some of the things that we had talked about. And so the Judge Mershon might, and I posted this on X, he might be realizing that, look, he needs an off-ramp for this case to get it over and done with. He doesn't want to be back here 4 years dealing with with this mess. He's allowed Trump to, well, first off, they did stay all the proceedings, but nevertheless, he's allowed Trump's team to ask him through a motion to dismiss. It's due on December 2nd. The state's, or Alvin Bragg, I should say, I don't want to say state. Alvin Bragg's reply is due a week later. So he's giving Trump's team the opportunity to give him an opportunity to have an off-ramp to complete this case, so it's not hanging out over Trump's head for the next 5 or 4 years or so. So that's what it's all about.
I think, well, number one, the New York case was trash. Obviously, they just wanted to get him. But I think if they could do this simply, and I think this is what shows you the case was maybe not as on the up and up as they want to think. Because
really,
in the most simplest terms, this is a case where he gets a fine and goes on his way, right? No one goes to jail for these crimes, for these for these crimes. These are what's it called? Falsifying business records. Nobody goes to jail. Everybody pays a fine. But if this was legit, then you just give him his fine and let him go on his way. But they're not doing that. So I think I do think now this brings you the question: why go through this whole farce? Why go through this whole thing? If you really believe that you had him, then just sentence him to the fine and call it a day. But they won't.
No, because he wanted to sentence him to jail, and but for the immunity ruling, I think he would have. But now he's going to take his time, wait for this to fall out of public consciousness, and then quietly. But I think he's going to blame it on the Supreme Court, vacate the verdict, and say he had his hands tied. He's going to accept all of Trump's arguments, whatever they submit in that motion to dismiss, and
If
say,
he's smart,
yeah,
he will. Yeah.
No, he at this point he's got his out. He can blame somebody else, and he doesn't want any of his decisions in that case being subject to appeal in any event.
However, Mershon has never been accused of being smart or wise.
But I do want to ask you about because the Georgia case, I think it should be gone based on the Supreme Court's ruling, because everything they're charging him with is literally when he was president, like when he was doing, like, so it's like,
that's true. There's an
easier
way to toss it, right? So look, in Georgia, we're talking about the Fannie Willis RICO case, right? Mm-hmm. Where Trump and several co-defendants, actually Ashley Merchant and her client brought this out, and then the other defendants that decided to sign on to it are benefiting from that. But the Georgia Court of Appeals is poised, I think, right now to pull Willis off the case. Oral arguments were scheduled for, I think, December the 5th. Mm-hmm. They last week or earlier this week, I forget what, maybe it was, I don't know, in the last few days, they abruptly sent a one sentence order canceling oral argument, and no further explanation. And the lawyers and the people who might be in the know that I talked to, they don't know what's going on, except those of us that are trying to read the tea leaves. We look at it like this. If they were going to rule against the appellant, in that case, this is the defendants, mm-hmm. they would have still let them come and have their day in court, so to speak, and let them have oral argument. But it looks like, in my opinion right now, until the exact opposite happens, and I have to eat these words, is that they're going to rule on the basis of the pleadings and the briefs that have been filed by the respective parties. And of course, the amicus curiae, the friends of the court briefs coming in from outside third parties. They're going to rule on the basis of those. They're going to toss Willis off the case. Then you're going to have an indictment without a prosecutor. The Georgia Prosecuting Attorneys Council, which is the state agency that would handle these things when prosecutors are recused for whatever reason, they have to decide, one, are they going to reassign it to another prosecutor? And two, who would that be? And I don't think there's an appetite for the Georgia PAC, Prosecuting Attorneys Council, to do that, to even reassign it. I think they might come in and dismiss it, and they're certainly not going to find another DA willing to pick up this case and try to fix all the things that need fixing, which is basically everything that Willis has screwed up. And so I just don't see, as a practical matter, it's going anywhere, because if I'm right and they remove her, and we might see an order, could happen today, but I think it'll happen in early December. If they remove her, I think it's going to be over. Now, she would have the right to appeal it to the Georgia Supreme Court, but I bet they don't take it.
Yeah.
Why did they pause the oral arguments?
We don't know.
We don't know. He said, yeah.
What does it possibly indicate?
It possibly indicates that they've decided that they already know how they're going to rule. They don't need to hear from anybody, and they're going to rule on the basis of the briefs. And they're probably circulating a draft opinion. There's 3 judges on this panel. That's it. And they're all from very red parts of the state of Georgia. And so, look, I just think that it's over for Willis. The order vacating it literally was like, we hereby are canceling oral arguments, and that's it. It's like They didn't give any explanation whatsoever.
That's weird. I would have thought if they don't want to if they don't want to hear the arguments, I would have thought that they would have not been dismissing it, because if you're going to dismiss it, you at least want to feign having allowed everybody to present their arguments before you dismiss, or before you take Fannie off the case.
Well, if you're going to rule the other side, the thinking is that the appellants are the ones that those taking the appeal, the defendants, they are the ones that have the burden of proof. So you would not rule, or persuasion, I guess, you wouldn't rule against them without giving them their shot to convince you otherwise. So if you're gonna rule against the appellee, it seems like it's fair to just go ahead and cancel oral argument. Oral arguments are discretionary; they don't have to do them. Mm-hmm. It was the appellants that asked for oral argument. It was Ashley Merchant and Crew and company. They are the ones that asked for oral arguments, and it was granted. And so if you say, all right, never mind, we're not going to give you that oral argument, that can only mean to me that they're getting ready to rule in their favor. It's like we've all been in court and we make arguments and you're trying to convince a judge to grant a motion or do something your way. And the judge says, you don't have to make that argument. I don't need to hear from you. That tells me that I'm going to win, that they don't need to hear any more from me. And I think that's what we're seeing out of the Court of Appeals.
It is amazing that Kim Foxx got reelected after all of the corruption. Fannie Willis gets reelected after the reelection. Whatever happened to it was Kim Gardner out of the McCloskeys in Missouri? Do you remember?
Probably reelected.
No, I'm trying to see what happened to her. She disappeared for a little while because I think her corruption there went a little bit further. But
Fulton County is so blue. There's no way.
Yeah, but that's crazy though. Like it's like some of these Democrats that were reelected are like insane. Like look at this one. This one I'm going to share with this one was like reelected in a landslide. They're talking about Drubby. This is a Michigan Township supervisor who resigned after arrest in child sex sting, was reelected in his position in a landslide. Hold on, this one.
It is amazing. You wonder if the people just don't know. Yeah, but I don't think I think people just.
Oh wait a minute! I want to go back and see what ads they're serving you.
Oh, Amazon.
Ads are symbolic of your browsing history.
Yeah, I know. My
sexist children's health plan.
My daughter looked at some ladies' undergarments on my computer, and I started getting ads.
Oh, sure, sure.
Can I give everybody a hint that will make this problem go away?
Yeah, what's the name of that browser?
Use the Brave browser. It has a built-in ad blocker, and when you're sharing your screen, it's a lot cleaner. You don't have to look at all the crap on the sides.
Hold on. What website would tell me what I've been looking at for the ads?
Just look at your browser.
When you navigate, the ads are answering your browsing history.
Yes.
So, like if his daughter's looking up lingerie,
I think it was bikini, actually.
It's potentially going to show JCPenney bra ads or things like that. They follow.
Yeah.
Well, let me see what I got on mine. I'm just going to open up Fox News. I got glasses frames. That makes sense. What else? Preparation H. Okay, that makes sense. That's the obvious.
You can actually turn off. I forgot what they call it. You could turn it off though, where it doesn't give you the individualized ads. But when you do that, you just gotta get anything. So, but I visualize that.
Did anybody
just use Brave? It also uses less bandwidth, by the way.
I'll do Brave. I could be convinced on that. Has anybody been doing any deep dive into the Kamala Harris expenditures? Of the campaign.
Oh,
it's insane old stuff. So we went from 1 million to 2.5 million.
Oprah went no. It's the consulting firms that got, or the ad agencies that got $500 million. Like they were getting $46 million a month. And they were using like 8 or 9 of them. What I'm still trying to figure out is the contribution refunds and why Kamala Harris has so many more contribution refunds than the Trump campaign or the Trump for president. And there's a lot of suspicious low value contributions coming in from the same people, like within the same day, and then a bunch of very low contribution refunds, which total there were like she had 10,800 contribution refunds compared to like several hundred for Trump, and I still don't know what it means.
It's because they wanted to make it look like she was doing so much better, right? It's her whole campaign was fake. It was like everything was staged and orchestrated. I mean, she's even paying the people that she's giving these interviews to, and she gets these podcasts that do these softball questions. She's paying those people to have her on and to give her the softball questions. It was
even worse than that, Phil, because to me, the most devastating accusation against her is call her daddy.
Yeah.
And
well, they built out that set and didn't tell anybody.
You build a fake set to make it appear like you're someone else, then that means everything you are is based on deception.
Well,
Trump showed up with podcasters wherever he was, if it was Mar-a-Lago or whatever.
Appreciate that. It's obvious fraudulent misrepresentation to me, at the very least, because if someone's trying to show that they don't have OCD, they don't have anxiety, they don't have agoraphobia, and say, look, I went and did a podcast with Howard Stern. Did they? Oh, Howard Stern. Did they build out his pod? She was on.
I don't know.
Stern.
No, I think she went to Howard Stern. Yeah.
She didn't want to go to California.
Howard Stern's in New York. I'm sure she probably
Howard Stern's in New York. But you give the illusion that you are, a functional human being, which you might be dysfunctional for medical reasons or whatever. Building out that entire studio to look like the woman's, so that she didn't have to go there, and not disclosing that for a 40-minute interview. I mean, it was
$100K for 40 minutes. That's ridiculous.
And why?
My thing is why? If we ran our business that way, we'd be prosecuted for stealing from our clients.
I mean, good God, this is the internet. Now, David, how many shows have you done from a hotel room? I mean, this is not. It's not a big deal.
He's in a hotel room right now. He built his set there.
Yeah,
there you go.
No, I remember I had Dr. Chris Martin.
I did Megyn Kelly I did David and I did Megyn Kelly, and he's in like a Motel 6 somewhere in Canada.
I had Richard Barris on the first time. I was in a car in New Brunswick on a place called Deer Island, getting eaten by mosquitoes because I had to leave the window down to breathe out the car. Oh, and then I've done bathroom interviews. It became something of a gag. Now I'm living life here.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to hide that, to build an entire set just to give an illusion, it makes zero sense. But you know what? Unless you're a liar.
Well, David, I got an idea for you. You see this beautiful set behind me here? I want you to recreate that at your place, because this summer we take the family to Florida, but we're looking for a new place because we got some hurricane damage where we normally go. So we may just come down there and hang out with you.
Come, so long as you don't mind dodging doggy do. That's our place is fantastic.
Take a picture of it.
Phil, take a picture and use a green screen.
There we go.
I'm wondering, did they tell Joe Rogan that they would build out a set that looked like his when they asked him to come to her?
She probably had to go to Joe. The problem is when she had to go there, it seems like it was
No, I understand that, but like
bad interviewer.
They said that they invited Rogan to her. Would they have then asked Rogan to conceal the fact that they built out a set to look like Rogan's studio?
I don't know. But I don't think Rogan would have gone for that.
No, he would. Dude, he
wouldn't even go.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, that's ridiculous. But don't forget, and then they had all these things which you could talk about, but you can't talk about, and all that stuff. And it kind of just evolved from there. I think one thing, you answered your own question, where in terms of people wanting their money back. If I gave to that campaign and found out that they gave $100,000 to Cole Mike, they gave $5 million to all these celebrities, they gave $2 million to this guy. I was like, I want my money back too, because I didn't give it for you just to give away to and that's what I think the key difference between those two campaigns. One was literally taking from the small dollar donors, giving it to their rich and powerful friends, and saying, "I'm for the people." This is not for the people.
These are online donations. Is that wire fraud in some kind?
And then let's also think about this. If she's spending money like that, wild and ridiculous, for her campaign, what's she going to do with the country's money? Like, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, really? Does she think she's going to get better? No, it's going to get even worse. So,
yeah, Nate has people in his life who actually are shocked by all this going down.
Yes. Most of my Democrat friends were shocked. Well, they were shocked to see that people were getting paid. Like Roland Martin, that shocked a lot of people. That he got $350,000. He did a 30-minute interview, got $350,000, and he's like, I run ads. Nate. I run ads.
That was. Hold on one second. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, Roland Martin got $350 million. He had to come on. Well, I ran ads for Kamala and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I run a YouTube channel. My videos get more views than yours, and nobody paid me $350,000.
Hold on, but I don't understand.
2 months worth of ads.
What's the rationale? Well, I don't even understand his logic. He's running ads on her show.
Well, he's saying that he got through. So he did an interview with Kamala, the 40-minute interview, whatever. He did the interview, and they found out through the filings that he got $350,000 payment. So then they were like, well, hey, you got paid. And he's like, no. The campaign paid me to run ads on my network. So he's saying that he ran $350,000 worth of ads on his network. And I'm calling BS on that. I'm like, all right, you may have run the ads, but That is really a lot for what, 3 months worth of ads? Because she was 3 months worth of ads at $350,000 for a YouTuber. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
And
No,
by
I
the way,
feel-
it's on your network. It's free. You
But that-
can
no,
run
that's
your
fair.
ad on your network anytime. I mean, that's just ludicrous.
Am I the only one who I don't even understand that explanation? He has her on his channel, on his platform, and then he asks for $350,000. Is the argument that he forwent running ads for that show?
No, he's just trying to cover the fact that he got paid off to have her on, and he's
Yeah,
like,
no,
"Oh,
but
no, that's on me. I had to pay ads to, advertise that I did this or
Oh,
something."
to market the interview.
Right. I'm pretty
Well,
sure
not
that's
only to market the interview, but he supposedly ran ads. He said he ran ads for the campaign because he's the Black Entertainment Network. So it's like she's paying him a TV deal. We're gonna run certain, and he showed like 5 or 6 ads that he did run, but he was saying that but I'm like, yeah, sure. They're paying you $350,000 to run ads on YouTube. That's like, really, come on, really? Like
Well,
that.
he can easily
amazing
prove
deal.
that. He can easily Roland Martin.
It's actually really pathetic if you think about it. Do you think Obama had to pay off people to appear with him? Do you think he had to pay Beyonce or Oprah Winfrey? Do you think Biden had to pay these people to appear? No, they would just appear. Like Trump's not paying off Kid Rock to go show up at places.
These people are going. Freaking Dana White is flying in from wherever he was on vacation with his wife and family because he wants to support Trump and he's proud to. Nobody would sit down with her to talk to her without being paid. I mean, it's the absolute greatest insult to a human. So thoroughly uninteresting and detested. She's got to pay people to pretend to be her friends.
Yeah. It truly is pathetic.
What is this white freaking thing? It's getting whiter and whiter here. Is it this right here?
I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about another Georgia case. It wrapped up. A lot of people in the audience are very concerned about the Laken Riley case. What went down, Phil? That's sort of your neck of the woods. And from what I understand, the biggest controversy is why did they not go for the death penalty?
All right, so I appreciate the timing on this. It's fantastic because I actually downloaded the Brave browser and I want to try to share a screen if you'll let me. Let's see here.
That's going to be difficult to share because it's a different browser. As long as there's no sound, you can do it fine. But
check this out, by the way, guys. I'll send this in the private chat. There was MSNBC got in trouble for a headline they wrote, and they seem to have changed it. How do I go to private chat?
They did. Yeah, I turned the sound off on it, Eric. It's on the Brave browser. And so this is an opinion piece that I wrote. I got a call from them like 10 minutes after the verdict and the sentencing, and they said, "Hey, can you write this op-ed for us? And can we have it in 3 hours?" So I was at my son's wrestling meet, working on it between his wrestling events on the notes app on my phone. But anyway, so I wrote this op-ed because in the Riley case, there was a lot of kerfuffle about why the judge did not sentence this monster to the death penalty. And the answer is that because you had a woke DA, now soon to be former DA because she got beat, but that's another story. She announced on day one when she took office 4 years ago that her office would not be ever seeking the death penalty, among other things. It was all the woke stuff, no bail and all this stuff. And so Laken Riley comes along and they have this Laken Riley case, and it's just so horrible. I mean, the facts of this case, you can have a debate about whether we should or shouldn't have the death penalty. That's one thing. But my point in all this is that he clearly qualified under Georgia law because there's at least 3 factors. You got to meet one. He met at least 3 of the 5 factors, 3 of the several factors that have to be met to justify special circumstances. One of them being that the crime was wanton and vile and inhuman and all kinds of things like. And look, there's no case that I'm familiar with that's more that would more be justified on that basis than anything. I mean, this woman, young girl, she's 22 years old. It's a girl to me. She fought him. He tried to rape her, and he fought for it. She fought for her life for more than 20 minutes, and it didn't. Obviously, he succeeded. But this guy was a predator. It looked to me like he's done this before. He got up early in the morning. He was drinking. He was posting pictures of himself early in the morning, and he went to try to break into another girl's apartment, and he didn't succeed. And so he gave up, and then he walked a short distance and crossed paths, sadly, with Laken Riley on the jogging trail on the University of Georgia campus. So the DA, I'm told that her office has never won a felony trial, let alone a murder trial in the 4 years that she's been in office. And she decided that due to public pressure, she was going to outsource the actual lawyering in this case to a lawyer that she took on loan, basically from the prosecuting attorney's council, not someone that worked directly for her, but was tasked with being the trial lawyer for this case. And she did a very good job. And she was very competent. This was actually, and even the defense did a good job with what they had, which was not much of anything. That you had good lawyering in this case, which is what you want, so you can have confidence in the result that the right decision was reached. But because the DA did not seek the death penalty, and when you file a notice of intent to seek death penalty, the dynamics of the case change. You got a lot more processes that you have to go through and procedures in place on death penalty cases that you don't have in non-death penalty cases. And so fast forward to the trial, and for reasons that still escape me, they waived their right to a jury, probably because they didn't want a jury to be making their decision based on emotion, and they thought a judge who sees criminal cases all the time might not be as emotionally moved. But this judge took about 10 minutes to decide that he was guilty. And I think probably half of that 10 minutes was filling out the verdict form, and the other half was going to the restroom. So anyway, so the judge gave the most that he could possibly give, which was multiple consecutive sentences, life without parole, and all this. But the bottom line is the feckless DA, Soros-style DA in Athens, Clark County, Georgia, is responsible for that.
Amazing. I mean, that is a truly sad case. Hold on here. I got a couple super chats that came in here. I'll get that article up in just a second.
I'll give you the comparative screen grabs in a second.
Oh, okay. Until Smollett claimed his attacker said MAGA, nobody said MAGA as an actual word. This is the first clue he was lying. I don't know about that. I think MAGA has been around a long time. Term. He was at the Roosevelt Hotel, committed a crime, and New York paid for him to go to Georgia.
Yeah, he took. There was evidence in the case. He took he and a female who was actually a state's witness. She's in custody for something. I'm not sure what it is. Probably immigration. But she testified they came across illegally. They wound up at the Roosevelt in New York at the migrant shelter there. Then they took a humanitarian flight from New York to Atlanta, where one of Ibarra's brothers picked him up, and they wound up in Athens not too long before this crime took place.
Here. I got the Wayback Machine here. Take the next one. It'll show you the before and after. Apparently around 2:00 this. When was it? Around. Check out the link in the private chat there.
All right, hang on.
Faster. Getting impatient. I'm joking.
I see.
Here, look at this. So yeah, click on that. Was at I don't know what the time stamps are, time zone wise, but that was the original headline. Oh. I'm not even sure the revised headline's much better. The guilt of Laken Riley's killer was never in doubt. Are they saying that critically, or are they saying that as a problem with the system in comparison to the original headline?
I mean, I don't have a problem with the headline. Never stood a chance, to me, is more against the system. Saying that his guilt was never in question, well, that just says that they had a pretty giant monumental case on him, and not necessarily as bad. The first one, I think, implies that the system was after him. Mm-hmm. The second one implies that he actually is guilty as hell.
I'm surprised in the first one they didn't. I'm surprised they didn't put alleged in the first one, to really give him the benefit of the doubt. Anyhow, it is true. Innocent until proven guilty, and he was found guilty. Gentlemen, I'm not starting any exodus, but I am going to duck out and get ready for my own show at 1:00. I'll be talking about the Canadian stuff.
But I noticed your tweet in the private chat, and I just quoted it. I think that's awesome that you got the screen grabs.
Well, you can go to the Wayback Machine. You can actually see when they changed it from the original to the updated. And I shouldn't be competing with you in terms of content, because I'm going to be covering the Commie Canada, the new Russiagate in Canada, where they're going after our wonderful independent citizen journalists.
Are they going? They're going after Lauren Southern?
Yes,
there?
they are.
What's going on?
Well, first of all, the most shocking thing is someone in the chat said that she was in a relationship with Destiny. Does anybody know that?
What?
Yes,
Yeah.
someone said it. I don't know if it's true. I don't want to start any rumors. She's a
But
very,
hold on.
very.
Is this Tenet Media's?
Yeah, this is Tenet Media.
No, that's Lauren Chin.
No, Lauren Southern is being brought before Parliament in the same Tenet Media scandal because she was one of the conservative commentators that had a contract with Tenet Media, and so the Canadian Parliament issued a parliamentary subpoena to get Lauren Chen to testify, and so Lauren Chen comes and basically pleads the Canadian equivalent of the Fifth. And whatever, I like to think I have.
They have to, you have to get the waterboard people in Canada, don't you, to make them talk?
But didn't all the evidence show that the creators, Lauren Chen, Temple, knew nothing about?
Well, Chen knew.
Not Chen. I mean Lauren Southern.
Lauren Southern.
Nothing
in the evidence or nothing in the allegations because nothing's been proven. Nothing in the allegations suggested any of the content creators
they didn't know.
There's some suggested implication that Chen was hiding from the creators of the source of the financing, which I still don't believe because from what I understand, they believe the source of the financing was from this guy. At least that's what the Tenet employee. What's his name? I forgot his name now, but he started his own channel. The guy.
But wasn't one of those invoices for like $300,000 for an iPhone and stuff like that? Like
there was no laundering. There might have been wasting of money because they were giving them millions of dollars to go, remunerate these independent creators.
Like the invoices from Tenet Media, like they showed the invoices where one of the invoices was like for an iPhone, they spent like $300,000.
No, I don't think that was
Tenet Media buying iPhones from Turkey. Like it didn't seem on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? It was like one. Because I know what's his name? Actual Justice Warrior, who Lauren Chen was like at his wedding. He even said he was like, yeah, obviously that's a little weird. You're buying $300,000 worth of iPhones from Turkey. It's like what's going on? And
I don't recall that in the indictment, but that maybe I. But no, the bottom line is so they subpoenaed. Jesus, drive me crazy. I can't remember the guy. He was on the channel. He went to Springfield to do on the ground reporting. Anyway, bottom line. So they summoned. They sent a subpoena to Lauren Chen. She came and didn't answer any questions. And they spent like an hour just asking these stupid ass loaded questions. And then Lauren Southern was also subpoenaed, but she's not under any investigation that anybody knows about. And she came and she answered. Like she answered the way a smart person who knows their stuff and above all else is innocent answers questions, and it was amazing. But it's just a disgrace. You see these idiot politicians. You think you guys have dumb politicians in America? These are like they're dumb and like dumb with. It looks like you're watching like 80s soap operas. It's that cliched level of stupidity. They're reading questions that clearly were prepared by staffers. They have no idea what the hell's going on, and it's a Russian witch hunt up in Canada.
Didn't they salute like a Nazi would, Tom? In the
they invited
a Nazi.
They invited a Nazi soldier
and a standing ovation for him.
No, not just that.
I believe
he was a Ukrainian volunteer for the 14th Luftwaffe. Luftwaffe.
Yeah.
That's one thing they did. But there's a liberal woman. Her name is. I'm going to forget her name now. I can't remember these freaking names. She's accusing Lauren Southern of going to Russia and spreading anti-Semitic propaganda.
I saw that clip you
shared.
And
I'm like, first of all, what's her name? I don't know the names of these politicians. I have to refresh my memory. But they invited a Nazi to Parliament. Chrystia Freeland, the Minister of Finance, posed in a picture with a traditional Ukrainian Nazi flag that she then deleted from Twitter, but people screen grabbed it. And there was one other element of the Nazi support. Oh yeah, that's right. They're funding the Azov Battalion with Canadian taxpayer dollars, but they have the balls to call Lauren Southern, a purveyor of anti-Semitic propaganda because she interviewed a prominent Russian figure.
Wow.
Hold on. Great. Two things are driving me crazy. If the chat knows what the employee's name is, he was on the channel. I feel terrible for not.
He lost his channel. I forgot the guy's name. I know who you're talking about now, though. But his channel got nuked.
His personal channel, and the Canadian politician Pam Damoff. These people are despicable people. Like really. Okay, now I definitely have to get out of here because I got to go get my things in line, gentlemen.
All right,
walk on.
Yeah, gentlemen and Eric. I gotta run too.
All right.
Hope everybody enjoys your weekend. Thanks for having me, Eric, and
thank you, man.
Everybody out here watching, enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
All right.
Peace out.
Phil.
That's going to be an interesting thing for me, Nate. As you know, I'm on jury duty myself, so I guess that's a laid back law topic or whatever.
Just going to say guilty. He looks guilty to me, and that's it. That's it.
No, I was talking to I was talking to Nate on the side. Obviously, going to serve on a jury will really cut into my time trying to put content out, things like that. So Nate, his first piece of advice was wear a MAGA hat. Into the courtroom.
Get him out of here. MAGA hat is violence. That means you want violence today. Put the MAGA hat on.
Yeah, well Elon Musk dark MAGA.
This is insane old stuff. But what else is going on in the world today? Because it's like one thing I find is that I love how the Democrats are now eating their own with all this stuff. And have you seen like the Morning Joe stuff? It's funny because the Democrats.
Well, they don't have at home, dude. I mean, okay, Morning Joe stuff. Yeah, let's talk about that because MSNBC may be no longer.
Well, is it Elon trying to buy them? Comcast wants to sell them, and
no, Comcast is actually they claim that they're spinning off the network.
Yeah, to another company. Yeah.
Well, period. Like it's going to be their own thing. But out of all the people here, sorry, I'm trying to find it because I had a link for the show later. Here we go. Bill O'Reilly actually talks about it, and he brings up some pretty good points.
Oh.
Hold on.
You know, one thing to watch how they're like Morning Joe, their ratings have just crashed. But when you're calling a guy Hitler all the time, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, then you go kiss the ring, or as Megyn Kelly said, when you go on your stomach and slither. I love how she says slither, like a snake, and lick his boots.
But you know what though? On one end though, if you remember back in 2016 when Trump was first running, he was on Morning Joe like every morning.
Yeah, they loved him.
On frequently. They loved him. They were talking to him. Like he was a Morning Joe.
I can't remember if he gave her away to Joe, but he was tied in with their wedding.
He was tight, and then all of a sudden they just flipped because obviously flipping on Trump was more money, and they were running it up. But now, and if I was Trump, I'd have been a little bit more pissed off. I'm like, I was going to your show every day. I'd given you monster ratings when I was ranked, and then you just turn on me like that. They don't even give him the benefit of the doubt. It was kind of like he's a Nazi racist. Like, what the hell? This is your friend for like 20 years. He was at your wedding. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. And I think he gave her away for some reason. Anyway, because her dad's been gone. All right. Well, people are like, don't make us watch O'Reilly. Okay, look, it's Chris Cuomo and O'Reilly, so you have a double dose of douche here. So it cancels each other, okay? So you got a douche with Cuomo, a douche with O'Reilly, but they are making some interesting points.
All right, let's hear it.
Oh, hit play.
To try to mend some cliche fences, and you two are going to go in there and you're going to try to tamp it down. Because Comcast knew the next day they were going to announce that MSNBC is vapor. That is a huge meteor story.
Why is it vapor? Just because they're spinning it off and putting them in they're spinning off a bunch of brands.
There's no spin-off.
There is. It's a spin-off company.
There's no spin-off. See, you buy the propaganda, Cuomo.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean?
I'm just saying what's being reported.
All right.
But what do you know?
Yeah, I know, but why would you believe what's being reported? You want the real story? Here it comes.
Please.
Right,
so they're uncoupling their word, Comcast, MSNBC from NBC News. That means MSNBC has no resources at all. None. They're not going to be able to pay these people millions of dollars, Rachel Maddow, whatever she's making. NBC News is saying, we don't want you.
Actually, Rachel Maddow just took a $5 million pay cut. My only problem with them, Nate, is she went from $30 million and took a $5 million cut. I thought they were going to say she got lowered to $5 million. Because never mind a cut, that's too much, alone. Anyway,
around.
But let's.
Why? Because NBC News's numbers, Lester Holt and the Today Show, are catastrophe. Because half the country equates NBC News with MSNBC, and they won't watch. So NBC is desperately trying to save the mothership of information, and they have to throw MSNBC overboard. They're not putting anything into MSNBC. They want to sell it. So where's Georgie Soros now? Georgie's buying radio stations. You can get MSNBC for nothing. They'll give it to you. They don't want any more of this. Why? Because it's hateful. Not because it's so far left. The whole NBC Comcast hierarchy is far left. But it's hateful. They hate Trump. They hate people who vote for Trump. Everybody knows that. And you know what's next? The View. ABC News is going to have to cut ties with The View. And you saw that today or yesterday when Sonny Hostin had to read a legal statement in the middle of a segment.
But hold on. Pause it there. But that happens, like that happened when for Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby, like when they were talking.
Oh yeah, they read a lot of statements.
Yeah, she has the legal statement that she has to read, which I understand. I know she had to read, but that they do that all the time when they're talking about that. So I know the legal statement against Gaetz, caused everybody an uproar. But
no, but it was hilarious, dude.
Yeah, it's hilarious the way she had to read it. Yeah.
Oh, it was a hostage video like none other I've seen. She was glaring so hard and just seething. Yeah. I mean, it was like her head was going to explode. It was just a wonderful, wonderful moment.
It's funny because when I saw it, I laughed, but then I was like, because I thought it was nothing story because I was like, oh, they do this all the time. I've seen those same legal notes. I think she did one for either Cosby or Weinstein, where she was like,
she's the one who does it. Her and Whoopi.
Yeah, she's the one that does the legal thing. But it was hilarious to watch, though.
Oh yeah.
Because, but Sonny, and I've said this for years, and I'm going to say it again. Sonny's the biggest racist on that show. She's a huge racist.
Dude, that's strong competition. My God, I hate having to narrow it down. I mean, and wait, okay, so who's worse, Sonny Hostin or Joy Reid?
I think Sonny's worst.
I don't know. I think it's a strong competition here.
She's literally calling everybody who voted for Trump either misogynist or racist. That's her thing. The only reason why black people voted for Trump, like Trump did so well. Young women, women under 30, they didn't vote overwhelmingly for Trump. What they did is they moved 11 points. So it was like last time young women went for the Democrat like 33 points, but then it was like now it was like 22 points, something like that. It was 11-point swing. So they were saying that, hey, this shows you it wasn't really about race or gender. It was about the economy and how people felt and how people's lives were. You're telling them everything's okay, but it's not. So, and, when you ask, well, what are you going to do differently? She said, no, it's going to be more of the same. Well, you get fired for that. But Sonny was like, well, you know what? It's not about economics. It's about these people are racist or they're sexist. And the interesting part about that is she doesn't get it. And I think she'll never get it. But I think The View to be like with what's his name? What he just said about O'Reilly, what he just said about them having to jettison The View. I think they have to put a true conservative, a true Trump supporting conservative on the show to push back on stuff like that. And say, well, Sonny, we're on this poll. Does it say they all voted for him because he was white? We're on this poll. Why did all these black people why did, the majority of Hispanic men, why did they go to Trump? Because they're all racist and misogynist and all that. It's to me.
Who would be the one that they put on there? Because we already have seen in the past that they've tried to put on quote unquote Republicans, and they have managed to find like Anna Navarro, who hates Trump.
Yeah, man.
So that's the key thing. It's like you've got to actually find somebody who likes Trump and put him on there. Now I could throw a name out there right now, but it would probably be a demotion for him. Scott Jennings would be an ideal person to throw on there.
I like Trump's. What about his former campaign, former secretary, McEnany?
Kayleigh McEnany?
I think Kayleigh McEnany would be perfect. She would hit because she has a book. She's okay. Well, you said this, Sonny. Well, let's go.
You would never have her, dude. I mean, because they don't want to hear the opinion. You would have Joy Behar walking up to set pissed off every day. You'd read more headlines about the battles between the dressing rooms, and it would just be a nightmare. The show is called
The Freaking View. You only got one view there. You don't have the view.
They didn't say all views.
Whose view are we talking about? Right? It's The View, but we only get one point of view. There's a whole country.
It says The View, Nate, not all views. They didn't say views. It's View. This is The View, and you will listen.
Matter of fact, they should have two. I would have Kelly McEnany and if you could get Megyn Kelly, but I think Megyn Kelly's not going to do it.
I like this.
Kelly. I would
Alex
do them
Jones.
both. Oh, that would be great. That'd be great.
Well, that's what I really want. Okay, what I want, and I've been putting it out there for a while because MSNBC is cheap. I think O'Reilly's right that they would just say, you want to take it over? So I want Elon Musk to buy InfoWars and MSNBC and create a new network, combining them. I think that Rachel Maddow needs to appear with Alex Jones on a show. It would be like, instead of Hannity and Combs back in the day, it'll be Maddow and Jones.
She would resign. She wouldn't do it. She would resign.
I know, but come on. She would either resign or she'd have to sit there. Come on, would that not be the best?
That would be crazy, but she would resign. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. That would be a bridge too far. You know who's gotten away from the MSNBC thing? Because NBC's taking a hit, but MS is Microsoft.
Oh yeah.
It's like nobody remembers MS means Microsoft. Microsoft.
Oh, I do.
Nobody remembers. So Microsoft has come off. They don't even mention MSNBC anymore. It's just gone.
Oh, somebody brought up a good point. Yes. Everybody look on YouTube. There are clips of Norm Macdonald's appearances on The View, and they are funny. They are funny because he goes after the Clintons while he's on there.
Oh yeah.
And in the way that Norm Macdonald always will. Kind of like Norm Macdonald got fired because he said, stop talking about O.J. Simpson. So he'd front load 5 more O.J. Simpson jokes.
You know what? But I do want to ask the chat. What do you guys think about what's going on in Chicago? So Chicago with the migrant crisis, the city wants to tax the citizens $300 million to pay for migrants.
Of course they do.
That's crazy. It's
Chicago, man. Didn't we just open the show with Jussie? Yeah, I mean, welcome to Chicago, dude. You've got a mayor. Okay, you're the wonderful city of Chicago. I'm sorry, guys, but you guys need help. You managed to have a Batman villain with Lori Lightfoot and get rid of her to find somebody worse.
Let me play the clip. This is going to be crazy. Let me play the clip because the clip is going to be insane. So this is the beginning of the video, but this is what's going on.
Now NBC5 investigates, which for months has followed the money trail tied to Chicago's migrant mission. Total spending now tops more than $400 million.
Now, despite the creation of a city spending website, it's still not exactly clear where all of that money has gone.
A few moments later.
I won't raise your property taxes.
Then candidate for mayor, Brandon Johnson.
A few moments later.
Mayor Brandon Johnson was more than 40 minutes into his speech before he broke the bad news to homeowners across the city.
This budget currently includes a property tax increase of $300 million to fund and keep our commitment to fund not just our pension contributions, but to fund the future of our city.
A few moments later.
Good afternoon.
I want to know, how does it feel that Trump is in office right now?
They tearing Trump in Chicago.
You see the feds need to address you. DOJ need to address you, and hopefully Donald Trump will address you. Because you're going to protect the undocumented, while you're going to allow for the citizens in Chicago to suffer under your, 33%?
For a purpose and not for you to go touching it with $300 million that you want to siphon out of the citizens' pockets. Get rid of the illegals, and that'll take your money right back.
A few moments later.
Breaking news at City Hall. Mayor Brandon Johnson's property tax hike is rejected by City Council.
So that's what's going on in Chicago, people. It's insanity. So now listen, I understand you wanting to help people out. I understand you wanting to do well, but you're going to raise my taxes by $300 million to pay for illegals that I don't want? It's like, what, I don't know how these people just wake up and say, this is what, it's like, talk about buyer's remorse, right? Buyer's remorse. Just imagine that was happening anywhere else.
Dude, I mean, this is Chicago. Again, I mean, you've got a mayor there who is essentially a communist. And why do I say that? Well, they've got a problem with crime. Some people might have heard of that. There's a problem with crime in Chicago. So stores, grocery stores, especially in minority neighborhoods or whatever, are shutting down. So what does the mayor want to do? Oh, that's fine. The city will take them over. That's a pure communist play, dude.
Yeah. it's crazy because, like, when these left-wing cities were begging for illegals, please send them to us, we love them, you're racist if you don't let them in. Now they let them in. Now it's, we got to get rid of the illegals. Well, yeah, that's why I love Trump's borders are. He's like, we're going and getting them out. We're going to ship them. Now, don't get me wrong. Am I sorry that people are going to be deported and filmed? Yes, I do feel, but I think it's more humane than having them sleep in the streets in Chicago at minus 100 degrees, in the dead of winter. I think, let's send them back to Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? But again, I'm a horrible maniac who doesn't like to, who believes in if we have laws, they should be followed. It's crazy idea. You know what I'm saying?
Go figure. And who's on board with that now is Eric Adams. You want to talk about your old hometown?
Deportations, mass deportations now. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen because I think the Democrats, they were hurt, but I don't think they were hurt enough where you can just do everything because you still need 60 votes in the Senate to pass any legislation. So I think that's going to hold things back.
You could do a lot with the administration. I mean, honestly, the Remain in Mexico, you don't need a vote for that.
Yeah, you don't need a vote.
That's an administrative order. There's a lot that he can do administratively while they work on legislation. That would be the proper way to do it, in my opinion, is use it, an administrative policy, put it forth, an admin order, and then say, hey, look how it's working. How about we turn this into law?
Yes. I think, Biden let in 9 million illegals. 9 million. That's a lot of people, bro. That's a lot of people. How do you take care of those people? And the way they did it was, we'll let you in and then give you a court date 5 years from now. So you got 5 years to figure it out. That's like, it's destroying the country. But again, the Democrats, they ran on matter of fact, what do you think about them banning? So they have the trans person elected to Congress and they banned them from the women's actors. I'm like, the Speaker of the House gets gangster. That's some gangster crap right there. He just gave up, you can't use the women's bathroom. Come use them.
Well, okay. I could have sworn that they had gender neutral bathrooms or quote family bathrooms. And there are options out there. I mean, it's like, we're not talking about a gas station in the middle of nowhere, are we? We're talking about Congress. I'm sure that there are facilities there. This person probably has an office. I'm sure that they have a restroom as well in their office. There's a lot of options. And I think people are going to force the issue. I don't care that much. Build another bathroom and call it a day.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should force, women to have to, deal with that. But just have a neutral, have some neutral bathrooms. And Two's Red, I heard that too. That was pretty funny. Megyn Kelly's like, I'll give them $30,000 effing dollars myself to build a bathroom.
To build a new bathroom, right?
And by the way, I actually like that though. I like the idea. It's like, okay, so if people are going to offer the money to donate to that's not taxpayer money. I'm good.
You know what? I like in my law school, which was ultra woke. They had men's bathrooms, women's bathrooms, and then genderless bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, and you choose one. And I think that makes it more comfortable because, like you're saying, it's $30,000, build one more bathroom and call it a day. It's genderless. So whoever wants to wear it, use it. But I don't know. The bathroom thing I don't really care about. I'm more concerned about the playing in women's sports. I think that's
obviously and locker rooms. Okay, so that's where it starts to get really
locker rooms and
really interesting, especially you can look at some of these people and you're like fully equipped there, Leah Thomas, not to mention shall we say interested in relations with women. So this is supposedly a woman who's interested. Anyway, it is a giant mess. And I forgot the name of that disease. Megyn Kelly talks about it a bit. It started to come up again. It's essentially men who get off dressing like women, but they're actually heterosexual. It's a fetish situation. And I forgot the name of it. Somebody in the chat will probably, here we go. I knew somebody would save me.
It's
autogynephilia.
Have you ever used a genderless bathroom? It's kind of like one time I was in one of them and I was pissing, but then it's crazy. Like there's a woman that came in there in like a short skirt, and I'm pissing like a racehorse. I'm like, oh, and it's like I don't want to say nothing to her because I'm sitting there, just looking like, how's your day going? I'm like, it's awkward. It's awkward.
I've had that too. Like, honestly, I think there have been many cases of women going into a men's restroom just because of the functionality of it takes a lot longer. So I've been in concerts standing there at a stall, and then all of a sudden the line was too long. There's women in there. It's like, okay, hello, what's going on here?
Sneak into the men's bathroom. Yeah, it's I don't know. The bathroom thing, and this is why I think they lost. I think the Democrats lost because of all this. Everything we're talking about, they lost. It's because nobody, I like how the left now is trying to say no one cared about transgender issues. Kamala never even said that she was for any of this stuff, and I'm like, come on. Let's be real. They literally have been doing this thing for the past 4 years, and all of a sudden at the last minute, I don't say anything about transgender issues. I don't know anything about that. It's bull. We all know it's bull. It's bull crap.
Well, what Nate is talking about is we had a rare opportunity. It's like, what could be more offensive than having David Pacman on a show? Having David Pacman and Brian Tyler Cohen on the same show at the same time. So doubling down on the demo doucheness. You had a major show there, and it was beautifully done. It was on Piers Morgan, uncensored. You had them on there with Dave Rubin. A lot of people don't like Dave Rubin either, but so you had this huge collision, and Pac-Man was just literally lying. It was lying about Piers Morgan. He made a statement, and Piers Morgan's like, got a producer to go prove him wrong. So we got called out there. Then they were making the statement that Nate was just talking about, saying, nobody cared about it. Hell, MSNBC doesn't even report on this. They never will. And then the two right-wing guests or whatever, they were like, oh, look at this. It's today's story. Trans. And it was two different stories on the same day. So, I mean, nothing quite as fun as fact-checking in real time.
Yeah, it's I think at the end of the day, I think the country is better after this election, and I think cooler heads have unfortunately prevailed, because I think at the end of the day, it became the battle wasn't really between two different opinions. It was really between common sense and kind of a lunacy, right? Men and women are exactly the same, even physically. That's lunacy, right? You're going to let everybody in, and damn how we're going to pay for it. That's lunacy. And I think at a point, and even crime, look at California. California kicked out all of the progressive prosecutors. Oakland's prosecutor, recall. San Francisco's prosecutor, recall. The mayor, recall. The mayor of San Francisco, I'm a strong black woman. She was jettisoned, right? It was like all of them were kicked out of office. But you know what? And it's funny because the mainstream media isn't talking about how deep blue California turned really, really red. It's really, really crazy.
But that's if you go to the macro, Nate, because we've talked about this, that's common. You literally have it where when times get good, we get more and more liberal, more and more free and open, and we love everybody, and allow all the immigrants, and allow this and allow that.
We love them.
Right. And then what happens? Crime starts to run rampant and everything else. So then it's like, okay, I guess we need the adults to come back. And then it starts to pivot to the right wing. Crime is the biggest driver, I think, of quote conservatives or the right wing taking over power in cities. And that's what you're seeing in California. You saw it in New York in the 90s with Giuliani, things like that. And then what happened? Everything got clean. You had Giuliani, you had Bloomberg. I mean, Times Square was cleaned up, all that stuff, right? Well, then it was like, hey, this is great. Everybody's making fun. Everybody's making money. We're having a good time. So let's loosen our standards, get into Blasio. Let's let crime run rampant, make it legal again. And now what do we have? Eric Adams is starting to say, hey, hold on. This immigration thing it really is a problem. I know I've got my own criminal problems too, but hey, Donald, can you help a brother out? Can you help a brother out? Maybe there's a pardon for, for your friend in your old hometown, New York. Come on, buddy. Anyway, so I'm just saying on the macro, I think this happens over and over and over. And you have a correction, if you will. And by the way, when you let the right wing go too far, like during the Reagan years and stuff, sometimes you get the religious conservatives who start to get in a little bit just too intense the other way.
There's got to be some balance in the force.
Yes.
Some balance in the force. One thing we haven't talked about is the Daniel Penny trial in New York. For those who don't know, that's the chokehold trial where the guy goes and chokes the person on the subway. I feel that this is like a Rittenhouse too. I think this is Rittenhouse all over again. Now we find out that the medical examiner lied on the stand and said the chokehold killed him, but come to find out, he had enough K2 to kill an elephant in the system. And
somebody came forward and testified that it was not the chokehold.
It wasn't the chokehold. It was, they because he was actually, because everybody there was saying he was breathing after the guy released the chokehold. He was breathing and he was still alive. They put him in a recovery position, but then he died later. So they were like, well, hold on, what was it? And now they have competing. One says, no, it was definitely the drugs. Now, it was interesting because even at the Chauvin trial, you didn't have that other person saying it was definitely the drugs. But here you have the trial where saying, no, it was definitely the drugs that killed him. So you have that piece of it. And everybody's saying that obviously the medical examiner is a Democrat. She's trying to save her job. And then also, let's not forget about all the people on the subway.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with this statement right here too. This trial is going to get people killed 100% because everybody who was there was saying, oh my God, thank God he held him down and prevented this guy from hurting us. The guy was completely off his rocker by every account. I have not heard of a single on-site witness who said that Daniel Penny's a bad guy. Have you heard anybody who was there at all say, oh, no. It was the poor Michael Jackson impersonator. He was just saying, have a nice day, sir. And they attacked. No, nobody said that. I have not seen a single witness. I don't even know why it is being tried. It is disgusting. It is a complete waste of taxpayer money. And again, what that poster said, it's going to get people killed. Why? I've seen footage of a train, I think, going to Philadelphia with a woman literally getting assaulted, people getting assaulted, and nobody does anything because they could get locked up like Daniel Penny.
Yes. You know what? I want to show this clip. This is the clip of the body cam. Now, there's nothing bad there.
No, thank you. Yeah.
This is the body cam of the witness. Now, one of the big issues was there were black witnesses, there were white witnesses, but all witnesses said the same thing. They were in fear for their life. I've read the train for 30 years. And this is what the DA, again, this is the DA's witnesses. With that witness testimony, we also have body cam footage.
I'm willing to die, you know, I'm willing to get killed. Name and phone. We know that the level 1 patrol
the guy in the tan did take him down like very respectfully and just like held him down.
Just in case you guys didn't hear that, she said the white woman says he took him down very respectfully, and the black woman's like, yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. She said she didn't choke him. The guy was probably drugged out. He didn't choke him.
Yeah. I was sitting over there. I heard the young man.
This racist black woman.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll do anything. I'm willing to die. I'll go to jail. I don't care. And he was saying it so loud that everybody's turning around.
Now they tried to make this into a race issue, but this is not an issue about race. These are black, Hispanic, white.
Right.
Everybody on the train is saying the same thing. This guy was threatening to kill us. What else were we supposed to do?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that, again, that's the kind of thing that is causing a change in optics. I mean, like you said, the majority of people there are black. Yeah. And they're all saying this guy took control of the situation, and they're thankful for it.
But you know what, Eric? I want to ask you. There were 3 people that was holding Daniel Pitt that was holding that guy down, right? There was
Mhm.
one guy,
One
on
white
his
guy.
leg, and then 2 people one person holding his arms and one person holding his legs. So
Yes.
that's a gang assault, right? If that's a gang assault, why don't you think they charge the other 2 guys?
Let me guess. They don't look like Daniel Penny.
Yeah, they are minorities. Yeah, sure.
Of course, we already know that. Yes. So
They literally gave them immunity to testify against Penny, and all of them are holding him down. So if you're talking about one person is guilty because he's holding him, but the other 2 people holding him, stopping the guy from freeing himself, would also be guilty of the manslaughter too.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, didn't the Chauvin cop? I mean, the other cops got charged along with Chauvin, right?
The cop who didn't even turn around. Remember the cop who was doing crowd control? He looks this way. They're behind him. He got 5 years, and he didn't touch. He never touched what's his name? He literally never touched him. Just did crowd control and got 5 years.
George Floyd. Yeah. I mean, it's so obvious. It's so despicable, and it's in front of everybody's eyes. I mean,
but have we gotten? Are we really living in a world where, I think the pendulum has swung so far. Like at one way, it was all if you're a white, you were getting off with these crimes, right? If you're a white, you had this privilege. That's what it was in the 40s and 50s. You know, we know about the Emmett Tills and stuff. But now it's swung so far the other way, where it's the reverse. Where if you're black, they're giving you immunity deals. Don't worry, we're not going to charge you. We're just going to charge the white guy. It's like, when did that become okay? It's like
it's become. I'll give you an example of that, Nate. I don't know if you realize this, but go look at headlines, and you'll see some really interesting things. If the victim is a minority, the status of that victim will be in the headline.
Yeah.
But if the perpetrator is a minority, it will never be in the headline. So you have things like, do you remember outside the hotel that there was that Asian woman? This is again New York. We'll
the one that got punched. Yeah.
Okay, she got beat down pretty badly.
Oh, yeah. We can't play that clip.
And the headline is "Man Severely Assaults Asian Woman." Well, whoa, I'm confused now. So if you just read the headline, your natural inclination is, oh, some white dude, because the default in general in the U.S. is white, correct?
Yes.
So if you read that headline, you'd be like, oh, some white guy beat the hell out of an Asian. No, he was black. But because it was a perpetrator, race is gone. And this is the kind of thing that is going on even in the headlines in our newspaper. So it's a cultural issue. That's why the deals are going down. It is quite literally hiding the fact. Nate, you've told me, okay, you were a cop.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a witness who was white and you had to like beg them to tell you that the suspect was not? What happened? Tell us about that story.
Well, because you know it's wild because sometimes they're trying to make it seem like they're not being racist. So it comes to, it's like, what is the, because when you're looking for a perpetrator, you need the pedigree information, height, weight,
Sure.
Give me everything you can. But if you say black, it almost makes them feel like I'm being racist because it's another black guy. But it's like, no, you just got to tell us exactly, we just looking so we can get the person.
Wait, go ahead. Pretend I'm a witness, Nate. Go ahead and ask me a question.
No, who did it? What the guy look like?
He was tall.
Okay, I need more than that. What's height, weight? Was he black? Was he white?
Oh, he had a black sweater.
You know what you're doing? Remember Anna Kasparian?
Yes.
This is the Anna Kasparian, because Anna Kasparian, for those of you who don't know, she was assaulted when she was in Los Angeles. She's a extreme leftist. She's assaulted. 2 guys come up behind her when she's picking up dog poop and grabbed her by the hips and started gyrating on it. She said the guy had an erection. So it totally changed her perspective. Like you always say, right? Liberals turn conservatives after they get mugged, right? So she got mugged, and now all of a sudden crime is a problem, and we need to throw out these let all crime DAs. Then no more defund the police. But anyway, so she went on TYT and said, "Hey, this happened to me. Crime is a little problem." But you know what that showed me? the people, her audience, is probably more racist than.
Well, you didn't explain what they said. You got to get into that.
She was saying this happened to her. They started attacking her, saying, "Well, she, how could she do
homeless?" She said homeless people had attacked her,
and she's being racist because she's making people feel this way about Black people. And the kicker was she specifically didn't mention the race of the attackers, but they were white, and her crowd assumed that they were Black, showing their own bias toward believing that any crime like that happened, it has to be Black people. But and I'll tell you why they believe that. Because they live in the real world. They live in the real world. And in the real world, unfortunately, there's one group, there's a segment of society who's more likely than not to be the perpetrator of such an event. And her crowd knows that. So they automatically jump to it. But now if
I don't know, I'm going to push on that a little bit because the biggest irony is, and I'm going to put this out to everybody who's watching.
Let me caveat that. Perception-wise. Not even its actual perception, because in actuality, more whites commit crimes because it's just more white people than Black people.
And I was also going to say there are more homeless white people. Like if you said to me, Eric, picture a homeless person, I would picture somebody 50 some odd years old, white, with poor hygiene.
Yes.
That would just immediately, that's the image that pops into my head. I would almost never picture anybody of Latin descent or Asian, and I don't think of Blacks as often. There are some, but in general, from what I have seen just throughout my life, the majority of homeless that I've seen are actually white, and it's an interesting thing.
I would even agree with that, but what I think. The issue here is that because they call it unconscious bias, where you automatically think something based on the fact that I think that's what happened. I think her audience showed this unconscious bias, and I think they have programmed them into that unconscious bias for years, right? They've always said, oh, this happens, and now that an unconscious bias attack them, now it's kind of like, oh, well, now I understand that this is a problem. And I will say this, TYT is trying to turn the corner real hard to not being extreme, but being more moderate, because now they're saying the transgender stuff is ridiculous. The defunding Korean police stuff is ridiculous, right? And to be fair, they were saying that Trump is likely going to win this election because Kamala is just such a horrible candidate. So, but we'll see how it all plans out, because they still say they're progressive, but now they're saying all the progressive policies that they don't like is not really progressive. It's sabotage. They've been sabotaged by the left, which is funny in of itself, because TYT was was the network that was pushing a lot of these ideas. Defund the police, they were pushing hard. TYT, right? And now all of a sudden they don't like it. They were pushing the transgender stuff hard. Then all of a sudden they don't like. So it's. I think they're a victim of their own success in that way.
Fair enough. And Cenk even has been, of late, sometimes making sense. It was fun watching him go at it with Alan Lichtman, who's like one of the most despicable idiots. He locked his keys in the car. Goodbye. My favorite thing is, and it shows how narcissistic Lichtman is. He said, "How dare you blaspheme me?" And even Cenk, what are you, Jesus? Blasphemy? What? I mean, but the thing is, the guy really thought that.
Did you hear what he said though, on why his keys failed?
Elon Musk.
Well, he said
because of disinformation, misinformation. Because I'm really right.
Racism, all that stuff. Yes. He mentioned all the isms. But the funny thing about it is that, and obviously blame the voters, right? Blame the voters.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is that the keys are predicting what the voters would do. So if the keys don't predict the voters, it's not the voters who are wrong, it's the keys that are wrong. But he flipped it. He said, no, the voters are wrong, the keys are right. No, the keys are trying to tell you what the voters think. They were wrong, right? So and don't get me wrong, he said he got the 40 years of the ones that he got right, but he really didn't get right and all that stuff.
But no, Nate and I got into it about Lichtman before the election and everything. I was like, this guy is a scam artist. he manipulates his message to make sure that it's always matching up with his keys. And Nate, I know you did the research. And
yeah, I had to research it. I had to research it. I was like, no, they got them on CNN. So you have fooled. I'm still on by the MZ. I'm like, nah, they got them on CNN, NBC, everywhere. They called him Then we looked into it, and you were right. You were freaking right. He was definitely a scam artist. All of a sudden things got a little. They started getting different, right? They was like, oh, I missed this one, but I was talking about the popular vote. Then I missed this one, but so. Yeah, Lickman was always a scam artist, but I'm glad to see the keys finally went down in a horrifying way. I know he must have been very sad that morning, like, damn.
In fairness, if you actually looked at the keys, they weren't that bad.
He's not reading his own damn keys.
Yeah.
Just so everybody understands, Lickman initially predicted if Biden drops out, Trump would win. He said the keys predicted it and was telling people, don't kick out Biden, don't kick out Biden. The keys predict that Trump win. So the keys were right at the beginning. Then he said, well, Trump's a monster. He's the end of democracy. Guess what? The keys all of a sudden say Kamala's going to win. I'm like, all of it. What? You've been saying the keys don't kick out Biden for almost a year. The keys. Now, but again, I think he went against his own keys. I think he went against his own keys.
So. Oh, he did. No, because he was arguing from a conclusion. He wasn't arguing facts.
Yeah. Well, he wanted, he wanted, and shout out to Rich Barris. Rich Barris has definitely
outstanding
knocked it out every single time. He was probably one of the best pollsters this election cycle. So Rich Barris was.
I want to point that out for people because I'm tired of hearing about how these pollsters, you just can't rely on them. The polls got it wrong. It's like, no, a lot of pollsters got it wrong, but Rich Barris was solid. Rasmussen reports also solid. Atlas also solid. What did they all have in common? Well, they all were favoring Trump, so they were all discarded
for reparations. I'm not making this up.
Yeah, London.
Yep.
Breed wants.
I don't know what I'm hearing.
Oh! I want to show you. I wanted to show you this one. I didn't know it was still even going. Sorry, I wanted to show you this because I think it's hilarious. So in San Francisco, they just kicked out their mayor, right? The mayor, the current mayor, who was pro BLM, all that. But I want to show you. So the mayor defunded the police and gave that money, and wanted to give the money to Black people as reparations. And the crime exploding with the hell. But I wanted to show you a news clip in which is happening because everybody keeps saying nature lying. There's no way in the hell this woman did that. I'm like, no, I am not lying. This happened.
Actually, while you play that, I'm gonna pop off for 1 second.
All right, here it is. So here it is. This is defund the police to pay reparations in San Francisco. Now, people are going to say this is a lie, but this is them. This is literally what happened.
To take $120 million away from the city's law enforcement budget. And Breed wants to take $120 million away from the city's law enforcement budget as a form of reparations toward the Black community. She said the city has had decades worth of policies, which has basically prevented them from being able to prosper. So here is a look at some of the numbers. The police department's budget would shrink by $40 million in each of the next 2 years under Breed's plan. That is 6% of its budget. And
Now, who other than me thinks this is crazy? I think this is insane. I honestly think this is insane old stuff, right? It's like, really? Now, obviously, crime when it exploded, and now they had to refund the police. But people, listen, hit me on a 1 in the chat if you think this is crazy. Take defunding the police to give it to a small segment of the population, and then when crime ensues, it's like I always feel like I'm living in bizarro land when I'm like, and then when I tell my lefty friends this, I'm like, yo, this happened. Nature a liar. You're not telling the truth. They're not defunding anything. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And I'm going to play this from the beginning. I want you to hear what this mayor said at the beginning of this video. I want you to listen to this. Now, I believe that if I was up here and I said, I want to make this very clear. So if I started this whole thing and said, I'm the president of the United States, but I'm a white man first, and I'm going to do things in the way, you would think like, hey, this is kind of crazy, right? This is like, this guy's a little racist. But listen to what she says.
Don't get it twisted. I am the mayor, but I'm a Black woman first.
Now they voted her out, so and they replaced her with a white man. They voted.
Well, yeah, the Levi Strauss era, if I recall. But
It's like
she was unqualified to hold the office. Anybody that is going to take their identity like that before the position should never be in the position. I mean, if she says I'm a black person, are you kidding me?
Oh my God! But I feel like I'm living in the Sano. When I point this stuff out to my lefty friends, I feel like I'm in the Sano land because they it's funny because I think whenever you start looking at everything through the lens of race, then everything becomes racialized. Versus if you look at everything for what it is, then I think you get a clearer picture of what's going on. And I would say, I understand being proud in who you are and what you are, but if you're representing an entire, millions of people, I'm not representing them because I'm a black man first. I'm representing them as the mayor. I am the mayor first, and I'm going to look out for your interests. I'm working for you. If you're looking at this, you're looking at the wrong thing. It's what I'm doing for you. So but again, it's a crazy idea that content of character should overcome what your skin color is. But Martin Luther King,
Martin Luther King said that, dude.
Yeah, that's Martin Luther King. Content of character. But but right now it seems like that's out. But right now I'm gonna have to get out of here, bro. So
me too. So before we do,
we've
got a party a video clip that I've got to share from the great Judge Judy.
All right.
All right, you're in my courtroom now, Buster. And let me tell you, there's so many of you here that are downright guilty of not subscribing to laid back law, yet watching full-blown episodes. Why don't you get your life together and just hit that button already? We all know you need it.
That's some advice from a great legal scholar, folks. I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button below. If you like this kind of panel and try to do it every Friday, don't always get every Friday, but we try to do every Friday. Nate, what do you have coming up?
I got a lot of crazy. You guys know me and my crazy videos, and for those, this week has been crazy. I've gotten millions and millions of views. Thank you guys for who you guys are coming. I got Whoopi Goldberg being sued. I'm dealing with that. I got the LA County prosecutor getting kicked out because he was too light on crime. I got a whole bunch of my interesting stories. The one I'm really working on that I think is going to be interesting is this Michigan Democrat who was caught up in a child sex abuse sting and still not voted in by a little bit. They voted him in by a landslide. So it's disturbing because when they say the Republicans voted in Hitler, well, you voted in somebody who's literally got caught up in a child sex thing. So, I like to do that. And obviously I got my Hinyard stuff coming up for those Hinyard fans, but I'm waiting till something eventually breaks with that story. But that's what I got coming up. What about you, Eric?
Awesome. Well, I've got America's Untold today at 5:30 p.m., but I've been pimping very hard another channel that I've created. I'm very proud of it. It's grown very nicely. It's over 11.1 thousand subscribers now. It's called Proven Conspiracies. The most recent episode is about the Federal Reserve being exposed, but I'm going to be dropping another 5 presidential conspiracies dealing with the mid-20th century tomorrow. So it'll be Truman and Eisenhower. We're talking about assassination attempts, shot down U-2 planes, creation of the CIA. What else could go wrong? All of the episodes are shortish, so under 20 minutes. Every episode's under 20 minutes. Most of them are between 10 and 15 minutes in length. So it is a not to downplay, but it's a good bathroom type of thing. If you want to just watch a quick episode, a lot of people do, or standing in line, put a lot of work into it. I think you'll like it.
In a nutshell, what Eric does is take the things that we thought were conspiracies and shows you how they've come to be true. Like, for instance, remember the Bill Cosby thing when Bill Cosby was doing that? That was a conspiracy. And it happened to be true.
Yeah. Oh, and another one coming up is going to be fun. I got to put it together, but the CIA is using Pokemon to build a map of where people are.
Ooh. That was gonna be explained out to me because
I know. I've got to get all the facts together so I can, lay out the storyline and all that. But to think about that, people who are playing Pokemon are just giving information, if you will, to the NSA, to CIA, things like that. But I also talk about different things like, foods. There'll be some stuff about foods that are illegal everywhere in the world, except for here, practically, and stuff like that. So I hope you guys do consider checking it out. I did put a link in the description on YouTube, but it's just proven conspiracies. It is starting to show up when people search. And everybody have a fantastic day. And I hope you subscribe here, and we see you soon.
See you soon, people.